Good evening and welcome to today's session. I, Pranand Patil, welcome you to today's session on data analytics and visualization tools. I, Pranand Patil, work as software engineer at ABC Trainings, and today I am going to make you familiar with some of the data analytics tools like Power BI, Tableau, Apache Superset, Google Looker, Excel, SQL, Python, etc. Okay, so let's begin. So, firstly, let me tell you what is data analytics. Data analytics means what? That we analyze or process the data. We analyze or process the data means what? That for example, as you all must have seen that in companies while presentations are going on, okay, the data is always represented in visualized form, not in tabular form, okay. And why so is done? Why so is done? Since data visualization is easy to identify trends and patterns compared to tabular format, okay. Since data in visualized form is easy, okay, or data in when data is in visualized form, it is easy to identify trends and patterns in that data compared to data in tabular form, okay. After that, what all again we can do, that is in data analytics, we can, for example, you all must be knowing about CSV files. CSV files means comma separated value files, okay. In CSV files, what happens, that data is stored in tabular format, that is in form of rows and columns, okay. Now some of you who may be having a basic idea of data science using Python, you may be knowing that what are features, okay. Features are input variables, whereas target is the output variable. Output variable means after performing processing on that data, or after analyzing that data, whatever you predict, okay, whatever you predict or whatever you achieve, that is the outcome, that is target, that is output variable. Now, so in today's world, data analytics is very important. And data analytics is used in every industry, or in, you can say, in every domain. May it be mechanical domain, may it be civil domain, may it be IT domain, or may it be electrical domain. Now, many of you may be knowing about Excel. Okay, so Excel is one of the basic softwares that is used across all the domains. Okay, Excel is one of the basic softwares that is used across all the domains to maintain data. Okay, to maintain data. To maintain data means data is stored in tabular format, that is in the form of rows and columns, and after that, that data is processed. Also, the main purpose behind using Excel is what? That it has various functions like date and time functions or string functions. Also in Excel, what you can do, that is get and transform data, right? Get and transform data. In Excel you can also visualize data, okay. In Excel you can also create new columns or new rows, or what else you can do, that is you can create copies of your data, okay. You can create copies of your data. Also you can secure your data. So when I'm going to tell you about Excel, we'll go at that time more in detail. So this is just an overview of Excel. So let me tell you that, like cloud computing, like artificial intelligence, like machine learning, data analytics is also one of the latest emerging trend in the industry, okay. And many of you who may be having LinkedIn account, or who may be regularly browsing about jobs or vacancies, you all must have come across positions like data analytics engineer, okay, or Power BI developer, or SQL developer, or Python developer. So all these positions or all these vacancies come under data analytics, okay. Data analytics means what? Data analytics means, in short, how we can describe it, that is, we process the raw data. We process the raw data and convert it into a specific format to analyze it, or to make predictions out of it. We can say in that way. So let me tell you that data analytics is also one of the latest emerging trends like artificial intelligence, cloud computing, machine learning, CCNA, etc. Okay, and data analytics also has a very huge demand. Very huge demand means data analytics is used across all domains. Okay, data analytics is used across all domains. Or let me give you few examples. Now let me take example of IT sector. In IT sector, HRs also use data analytics, whereas software engineers also use data analytics, whereas test engineers also use data analytics, whereas software developers also use data analytics, whereas project managers also use data analytics, whereas administrators also use data analytics. So we can say that data analytics is the core of our working, or data analytics is the core of our business. We can say that also. So data analytics is also one of the latest emerging trend in today's world, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud computing, etc. So what is data analytics and visualization? Data analytics involves processing data to discover trends, patterns, and actionable insights. Data visualization makes this data easier to interpret through graphs, through charts, graphs, and dashboards. And real world applications of data analytics are, it is used in healthcare. It predicts patients readmissions. In retail, it helps manage inventory and forecast demand. In finance, it identifies fraud, etc. Now, as I told you about some real world applications of data analytics. Now in finance, okay, in finance, how data analytics is used? Okay, so in finance, data analytics is used to identify unusual trends, okay, or unusual patterns, and on basis of that, fraud is prevented. Okay, fraud is prevented, or action is taken against fraud. In the same way, cyber security, many of you may not be knowing this, but in cyber security also, data analytics is used to identify unusual patterns or unusual trends, and on basis of that, data breaching is prevented. Data breaching means what? That what someone does means, a hacker or an unethical hacker, what he does, that he breaks into your system. Okay, he breaks into your system, or he breaks into your server, and you never ever get idea about that also, that someone has broken in your system, or someone is having an eye on your system. And what they do, that is, on the basis of that data, they try to reduce your productivity. We can say, in simple terms, we can say that on basis of that, or with the help of data breaching, what they do, that they try to reduce your productivity, or in other words, what we can say, that your data is compromised. Okay, that your data is compromised. In today's competitive world, to get ahead of everyone, many people try unethical ways or illegal ways. So in retail, it helps manage inventory and forecast demand. Okay, in healthcare, it predicts patient readmissions, etc. Now, the first data analytics tool is Power BI. Okay, Power BI is a application or software developed or introduced by Microsoft. Microsoft tool offering real-time dashboards and seamless integration with Excel and Azure. Now, what is Azure? Azure is a cloud computing service provided by Microsoft. Like Amazon Web Services is a cloud computing service provided by Amazon, whereas Google Cloud Platform is a cloud computing service provided by Google. Okay. In the same way, there may be many people who may have learned Power BI. Okay, but you all must be unaware that Power BI also has its separate cloud service, or a we can say private cloud service, which is Power BI service. Okay. Now, Power BI helps non-technical users build rich visualizations easily. It is widely adopted in finance, sales, HR, and supply chain functions. Okay. Now, the the main focus of Power BI is on dashboards. Okay, or we can say that the main focus of Power BI is on, or the main function, or the primary task of Power BI, or the primary use of Power BI is data visualization. That is it majorly focuses on data visualization. Okay, in Power BI we create dashboards. Okay, dashboards, etc. Right? Right? In Power BI, there is also one-to-one hierarchy, or menu-to-one hierarchy, or one-to-one relationship, or menu-to-one relationship. Now, what is one-to-one relationship? That is that is one table, that is one column from one table is related to is related to uh, another column in other table. Okay, in the same way, now we create dashboards, etc. Right? And Power BI's major focus is on uh, data visualization. We can also say that Power BI is an advanced version of Excel. Now, what is the meaning of advanced version? That Power BI has all the features that Excel has, along with its own individual independent features. Like if you compare C and C++, also contains all the concepts that C programming has, plus it has its own individual concept, that is object oriented programming. Right? Now, the next one is Tableau. Tableau is used for powerful visualization capabilities and user-friendly drag and drop interface. It is ideal for storytelling with data, with deep drill downs, and interactive dashboards. It is commonly used in marketing, sales, and executive dashboards. And its real-world applications are analyze customer acquisition channels, campaign ROI, etc. And job roles in Tableau are, or job roles after learning Tableau are Tableau developer, data visualization specialist, business analyst, etc. Now, the next one is Apache Superset. Apache Superset is open source. Open source means what? That it is freely available to everyone. Okay, open source means what? That it is freely available to everyone. And closed source means what? Closed source means what? Now, for example, when you buy a PC or a laptop, if you sometimes you get the Microsoft Office products along with it for free, but in case after buying a new PC or laptop, if you don't get Microsoft Office products along with it for free, then you need to pay for it. That is, you need to subscribe that service. Okay, you need to subscribe that service, like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video, etc. Right? And Apache Superset is open source and customizable. It is suitable for data engineering and big data projects. Apache Superset is designed for real-time exploration over massive data sets using Presto, Hive, etc. And Apache Superset especially is useful in startups or organizations favoring open source tasks, open source stacks, etc. After learning Apache Superset, you can land job roles like data engineer, BI developer, analytics engineer, etc. The next data analytic tool is Google Looker, cloud native BI tool offering scalable data modeling via LookML. LookML means, we can say that, look machine learning. Okay, it is excellent for enterprise grade data governance and team wide analytics. It integrates well with GCP tools like BigQuery for real time insights. Its real time applications are uh, SaaS companies use it to show metrics on user behavior and product adoption. And after learning Google Looker, you can land job roles like Looker developer, cloud analyst, analytics engineer, etc. Now, the next data analytic tool is Excel. And as I told you, Excel is the base of data analytics. Like C and C++ are the base of software development. Okay. In the same way, Excel is the base of data analytics. That is, Excel is used across all the domains. Excel is used across all the domains to maintain data, to maintain and to store and maintain data. Okay. Now, using Excel, what all you can do? You can store data in tabular format. Okay. You can store data in tabular format, that is in form of rows and columns. After that, you can visualize that data. You can perform various operations on that data. That is, if the data is unclean, you can clean it. Again, as I told you that many of you or out of all of you people who may be knowing about data science using Python, you may be knowing that uh, as each column is known as feature in terms of data science using Python, right? Right. So what you can do, that based on existing features, you can create new features, or you can drop an existing feature, or you can drop rows also. Okay, you can drop rows also. Again, what you can do, you can also perform one hot encoding on categorical variables. You can perform one hot encoding on categorical variables means what? That, for example, consider you have uh, gender column in one of the data sets or in your data set, and in gender column there are only two possible values, either male or female. Okay, so performing one hot encoding means what? That one hot encoding is used to convert categorical columns into binary columns, that is 0 or 1 columns, where one represents presence of that category in that row, whereas 0 represents absence of that category in that row. That is, for example, consider you have gender column. And in gender column now there are only two possible values, or we can insert only two possible values in gender column. One is male and another is female, right? There is also a third category called transgender, but for now let us consider example of male and female, right? So in that case, when you perform one hot encoding on that column, what is going to happen? That gender column is going to get divided into two columns. Okay, one will be gender underscore male and second will be gender underscore female. Okay, in gender underscore male column, in those in all the in gender underscore male column, in all those rows where one is mentioned, it means that in that row male category is present. But in gender underscore male column, in all those rows where 0 is mentioned, it means that male category is absent in that row. Okay, male category is absent in that row. In the same way, in gender underscore female column, in all those rows where one value is present, it represents that female category is present in that row. But in all those rows where zero value is present, it marks absence of female category in that row. Understood one hot encoding? Okay. So again, in Excel, what all you can do, you have date and time functions. Okay, After that, you can also secure data. Okay, you can also secure your data in Excel. How data is stored? Data is stored in sheets. Okay, So what all you can do, you can create a copy of your sheet also, so that nobody accesses your data, or nobody manipulates your data, or nobody harms your data. Harms your data means nobody breaches that data. For that, you can also protect the data, right? Using Excel, you can visualize the data. We have different functions like date time functions, string functions, conditional logics, okay, to manipulate and organize the data. Okay, after that, we also have table styles, etc. Again, using Excel, what all you can do, that is, you have ranges. Okay, you also have range, etc. And using Excel, the one of the main important feature which I know is you can get and transform data. Get and transform data means what? May your data be stored in PDF format, or may your data be stored in Word format, or may your data be stored in .SQL format. What you can do, you can receive that data or get that data. Get that data means what? That, let me explain you in simple terms. Now many of you may be knowing about server. Okay, server is what? Server is a collection of data, or in server a huge amount of data is stored. We can say that in server huge amount of data is stored. That is, for example, consider if you open your Google Chrome browser, okay, and type search query in the search box, and after that hit the enter button on the keyboard. After that, what happens that that search query is sent to the server of Google, and in the server of Google, whatever data related to that search query is stored, it is collected and fetched, and after that, that data is sent back to you. You means client, that is user. In the same way, what happens that in get and transform data, what you do, that is you get the data, and what you do, you can transform it however you want. You can transform and customize it however you want. Like as in simple terms, I told you that what you do from servers, first of all, what we do, that we upload the data to the server. First of all, we upload the data to the server, and after that, according to our requirement, what we do, that is we fetch that data, or we download that data, or access that data stored in the server. Like as I told you, that in case of Google Chrome, for example, consider you opened Google Chrome browser, and after that, in search box of that Google Chrome browser, you type the search query, and after that hit the enter button on the keyboard. After that, what happens, that search query is sent to the server, and what the server does, that is information or data related to that search query stored in that server is collected or fetched, and after that server sends back that information or query to the client, that is user, that is search results related to that search query are displayed on user end, or are displayed at user end. In the same, also you can get and transform the data, right? Also you can modify the data. You can also modify data visualization. Modify data visualization means what? That you can visualize the data according to your way. Your way means what? That, for example, if data is visualized in a default way, you can modify or edit it according to your requirement. Okay. Also, there are conditional logical functions. There are formulas you can use. Also, there are date and time functions. Then string functions. There are also ranges. Okay. There are also ranges. Also, using Excel, you can present data in an efficient way. Not like the traditional table format where the data is only stored in rows and columns. You can also format the data and present it in an efficient way, that is in an attractive way, so that data analysis can be done easily. Also, you can visualize the data. You can protect the data so that no other user or no other person tampers that data. Okay, you can also create copies of your data, right? So, the next data analytic tools is SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is the language for querying relational databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, and SQL Server. It is vital for data extraction, cleaning, transformation, and building data pipelines. It forms the base for nearly all data analytics projects. Now, what is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Now, what happens in SQL? In SQL, data is stored in database. In database, data is stored in form of tables, and in tables, data is stored in form of rows and columns. Now, before moving forward with SQL, as I tell in my every session, that not only knowing the main concept or major concepts related to any programming language or any scripting language or any database language is not sufficient, but along with that, you also need to know the minute details of that specific programming language or that specific scripting language or that specific database language. That is, for example, consider C programming language. Not only knowing all the major concepts from that C programming language is enough, but along with that, you also should know the minute details of C programming language, and along with that, your logic development or your logic build should be stronger. Your logic build should be stronger means, for example, consider, that is, for example, you must practice more and more programs, that is, programs like palindrome number, Armstrong number, multiplication table, swapping two variables using third variable, then star patterns or number patterns or alphabet patterns, or addition of two-dimensional arrays, or addition of uh, two or multiplication of two-dimensional arrays. These are the programs that you should practice. As we say that practice makes a man perfect. In the same way, in C programming language, Now, many of you may be knowing about array concept. Okay, many of you may be knowing about array concept, but there are also two ways of initializing an array in C programming. One is static way and second is dynamic way. And you must know both these ways. So in the same way, coming back to SQL, as I told you, that may it be any technology, may it be a database technology, may it be a programming technology, or may it be a scripting technology. Now you may ask, what is scripting technology? Scripting languages are used for web development or to design web pages. Some of the examples of scripting languages are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, etc. Okay. In the same way, now coming back to SQL. In SQL also, what happens in SQL? As I told you earlier, that in SQL, data is stored in database. In database, data is stored in form of rows, and in database, data is stored in form of tables, and in table, data is stored in form of rows and columns. Now, row and column, both of these are general terminologies. Row and column, both are general terminologies. But in terms of SQL, a row is also known as record, whereas a column is also known as field. And I can also prove this point. After this session, or whenever you all get time. What you do, just open MySQL and execute describe table underscore name query. Okay, and after that, in output or in the result set, the first column which you get is field, which represents columns in that specific table. Understood? In the same way. Now related to SQL, what all is important? First of all, you must know all the basic queries of SQL. That is from create database to drop database. Now, from create database to drop database, in this range, there are many queries like create database, create table, inserting data into table. Now, while inserting data into table or to insert data into table, there are two ways. That is, you can insert single row at a time, whereas you can also insert multiple rows at a time. After that, to display data, we use select statement or select query. Now, I know many of you may be unaware of the variations of select query. Now, the variations of select query means what? That using select query, many of you may be just aware about how to display entire data, but there are lot more variations in select query. That is, you can display data from a particular column only. Also, you can display data from a particular column also. You can display data from multiple columns also. You can display data from a particular row also. And you can display data from multiple rows also. Then the next is update statement. Using update statement, you can update a specific value from a record, whereas you can update the entire record also. After that, alter table statement. Using alter table statement, there are also many variations in alter table statement. Variations means what? That using alter table statement, you can rename a table name. After that, using alter table statement, you can drop an existing column from a table. Using alter table statement, you can add a new existing column, using alter table statement, you can add a new column in a table. Using alter table statement, you can modify the data type of a column. Okay, you can modify the data type of a column, right? Now, what is the meaning of modifying a data type of a column? That is, for example, consider while creating consider I have created a studinfo table, or I am creating a table named studinfo, and while creating that table, or I am creating a studinfo table, and I have created a studinfo table, and I have included SID, SNAME, and SMARKS column in that table. Okay. Now, for example, consider while creating studinfo table, I have assigned int data type to SID column. Okay, I have assigned int data type to SID column. Now, modifying data type of an existing column means what? That is, now, in int, again there are two more types. One is big int and another is small int. So what I can do, or for example, consider in studinfo in SID column of studinfo table, we are going to store maximum 5-digit SID value. We are going to store maximum 5-digit SID value. So in that case, let me tell you that size of int data type, or int data type and small int data type, both these data type can contain 5-digit SID value. So modifying a columns data type means what? That is, in studinfo table, we can modify data type of SID column from int to small int. Okay. Now you may say, then what is the major difference between both these data types? That is small int data type and int data type. Then what happens? What happens is assigning int data type to SID column and assigning small int data type to SID column. Both are correct. Both are correct. But what is the major difference between both of them? Both of them? That is, int consumes more memory compared to small int. Int consumes more memory compared to small int. And when you modify SID columns data type from int to small int, in that case, memory is less consumed. Or memory consumption is less. Right? In the same way, you should be familiar with these minute details, like renaming table. Okay, renaming table, dropping an existing column from a table, or adding a new column in the table, etc. Now, after that, there is delete statement. Using delete statement, you can delete a specific record, or you can delete multiple records, or also you can delete entire data from a table. And after that, finally, there is drop query. Using drop query, you can drop a specific database, or you can drop a specific table. Now coming back to the point of minute details. That is, let me tell you a simple example. Many of you may not be knowing about the difference between alter and update. Okay, many of you may not be knowing difference between alter and update, or difference between alter and delete. Why alter and update is used? Or what is difference? Not why alter and update is used. Sorry, but what is difference between alter and update? Okay. Now the simple, or it's not so complicated. What update does? Update affects the rows of the table. Okay, update affects the rows of the table. That is, you can say that update affects the data of the table. Update affects the data of the table. That is, it affects the rows of the table. Means what? That is, you can update or modify data. But using alter table statement, you alter the structure of the table. Means what? That using alter table statement, you alter the structure of the table. That is, alter structure of table means what? That you drop a specific column, or you add a new column, or you modify the data type of a specific column, or you rename the table name. Then all these operations alter the structure of the table. Whereas update only affects the rows of the table. It only affects the rows of the tables. Means what? That is, it only affects the data of the table, not the structure of the table. Whereas alter affects the structure of the table. And this is the major difference between alter and update. That update affects only the rows of the table, whereas alter affects the structure of the table. That is, using alter table statement, you modify or update the structure of the table. Whereas using update statement, you modify the data stored in the table. So you must be aware of this difference. Now, there is one more. Let me give you one more example. Difference between delete and truncate statement. Okay, using delete, you can delete a specific row as well as you can delete the entire data stored in a table. But using truncate, you can only delete the entire data from a table. Using truncate, you cannot delete a specific record from a table. So these are, or whatever I told up till now related to SQL, these are some of the minute details that you should be compulsory aware of. Okay, or it is mandatory to be aware of these minute details. Okay, after that, then we have concepts like aggregate functions, joins, clauses, constraints, etc. Constraints are used to maintain data integrity. Means what? That, let me give you a simple example. In schools or colleges, every student is assigned a unique roll number. But for example, consider if 2 students are assigned the same roll number. Then after that, while addressing a specific student out of those 2 students, it is going to be very complicated. So in that case, data integrity is not maintained. So To maintain data integrity, what we do? We use constraints. That is, while creating, for example, consider while creating studinfo table, you haven't specified primary key constraint for SID column. Now, first of all, what is primary key constraint? Primary key constraint uniquely identifies each row in the table. And when you specify primary key constraint for a specific column in a specific table, it means while inserting data in that table, the column for which you have specified primary key constraint, in that column you can only insert unique values. You cannot insert duplicate values in any row, right? So in the same way, for example, while creating studinfo table, if you haven't specified primary key constraint for SID column, then in that case what happens, that user can insert duplicate or repeated values in SID column, and due to which data integrity is not maintained. Data integrity is not maintained means what? That each student is not uniquely identified. Okay, each student is not uniquely identified. But whereas while creating studinfo table, if you assign primary key constraint to SID column, then in that case you compulsory need to insert, or it is mandatory to insert only unique values in the SID column. And in that case what happens, that data integrity is maintained. Data integrity is maintained means each row of that table along with each student in that table is uniquely identified. So there are again major concepts like aggregate functions, clauses, triggers, etc. Okay, now joins. Many of you may be knowing about joins. Joins are used to combine data from two or more tables. In the same way, triggers. Triggers are, you can say that triggers are automatic stored procedures. Okay, triggers are automatic stored procedures that are executed mostly after inserting data into a table, or updating data from a table, or deleting data from a table. Okay, so the next data visualization tool is Python. It is an versatile programming language with strong data libraries like pandas, numpy, seaborn, plotly, matplotlib, etc. It is useful for automating repetitive tasks, statistical analysis, and machine learning. It is often used for building data products, predictive models, and scripts for large-scale processing. Now, as you all know, that Python is a latest emerging trend. Okay, may it be in software development, or may it be for learning latest industry trends like machine learning, artificial intelligence, etc. Now, why Python is preferred? Because of its rich library. But along with that, it's syntax free. Right? It's syntax free means what? That you need to use minimum syntax. Okay, you need to use minimum syntax. Also, there are many features like rich library and syntax free. Okay, and there is one more important feature. Related to Python, which is that Python consumes less memory compared to other programming languages. That is, now you may ask how it is possible that Python consumes less memory compared to other programming languages. Then let me give you a simple example. Consider that two different variables are initialized the same value in C programming. Now, at backend, what happens? That in case of C programming language, the first unique value stored in first variable is assigned separate unique memory address, or what we can say that consider a scenario. Okay, consider a scenario that two different variables are initialized the same value in C programming language. In that case, what happens in the backend? That the first value stored in the first variable is initialized separate unique is assigned separate unique memory address, whereas the second value stored in second different variable is assigned a separate unique memory address. That is, for example, consider that in A and B, two different variables, same value, 10 value is stored. So in C programming, what happens? That for 10 values stored in A variable, separate unique memory address is assigned, whereas for 10 values stored in B variable, separate unique memory address is assigned. But if you consider this same scenario in Python, what happens? That in Python, first of all, what happens? That 10 values stored in A variable is assigned a unique memory address, but the 10 values stored in B variable is not assigned a separate unique memory address, whereas the 10 value stored in B variable points to the unique memory address assigned to the 10 variable to the 10 value stored in A variable. That is, we can say that both the common values or both the same values share common memory address. And in this way, Python consumes less memory compared to other programming languages. Or as we considered the scenario of C programming language and Python programming language, so on the basis of this, we can say that Python consumes less memory compared to C programming language. So there are many minute details like this. This is just only one of the minute detail which I told you. Now rich libraries. Now pandas. Pandas is used for data pre-processing. Okay, whereas NumPy is used for mathematical analysis and statistical analysis. Seaborn and Matplotlib are used for data visualization. Seaborn and Matplotlib are used for data visualization. Okay, sklearn.preprocessing. This library is used for what we can say for machine learning. Again, multiple dispatch. Multiple dispatch is one of the library which is used to implement function overloading. That now many of you may be knowing that Python does not support function overloading. Okay, Python does not support function overloading. So to achieve function overloading in Python, we need to use multiple dispatch library. Okay, and from that multiple dispatch library, we use dispatch function to achieve function overloading in Python. Okay, it is useful for automating repetitive tasks. That is, since as Python plays a role of a programming language, it also plays a role of a scripting language. That is, Python is also used for web development. In the same way, Python is also used for test automation. Test automation means what? That many of you may be aware about software testing using Selenium. Okay, many of you may be aware about software testing using Selenium. In the same way, Python is also used for software testing. That is, you can run and execute test scripts using Python in the same way as you run and execute test scripts using Selenium. Okay? So Python is also used for test automation. Python is also used for web development. Python is also used for software development. Okay? Whereas Python is also used for learning latest emerging trends like machine learning, artificial intelligence, etc. Why it is so? That is, for example, if there is a candidate who has decided to switch to IT field, so and he does not have time to learn C and C programming languages, which are the base of software development. In that case, if he directly starts learning Python, it is easy to adapt language. It is easy to adapt language means what? That he can easily adapt it. Like, let me say that as we speak normal English, in the same way it's the case of Python. That is, you can easily adopt it. It is often used for building data products, predictive models, and scripts for large-scale processing. Now, the tools working together. That is, real-world data workflows use a combination of tools. That is, SQL for querying, Python for cleaning and modeling, Tableau and Power BI for visualization, Excel for summaries, Superset or Looker for embedding or engineering specific dashboards, etc. Right? Now, many of you may be unaware about full stack. What is full stack? In full stack, what we do? That is, we design front end separately, we design back end separately, we design database separately, and after that, we integrate these three components together to create a single application or to create a single software. Right? So you must be also knowing about these things. That is, front end, back end, database, etc. Using front end, what we do? We design the front end. Front end means what user sees. Using back end, what we do? That we design the working of that interface, or we design the working of that application using back end, using a specific programming language. And in database, what we do? We store the data. Now there is also a concept called frameworks. Many of you may be unaware about frameworks. What is frameworks? That in framework, what is done? That is the basic structure. Now, for example, consider HTML scripting language. In Visual Studio Code, there is a shortcut. To import the basic structure of HTML. How you do it? That you type exclamatory symbol or define exclamatory symbol, and after that, either you press the enter key or tab key to import the basic structure of HTML. That is what happens that the basic structure of HTML is imported. You only implement the main logic, or you only implement the main part. In the same way, in case of frameworks, the basic structure is already defined, or the basic structure is predefined. You only need to import the main logic, or you only need to import the main content or the main part, right? So many of you may be knowing about PHP scripting language. In PHP or related to PHP scripting language, there are several frameworks like Laravel, CodeIgniter, etc. These frameworks, why they are used? That is, frameworks consumes less time, or for frameworks consume less time. How they consume less time? That is, since structure is already created or imported, you only need to implement the main logic, right? Okay, so that's all for today. We will continue the remaining part or the remaining slides in the next session. Thank you for listening to me patiently. Let's meet in the next session.